Hey everybody, I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Monday morning, I'm outside in a flannel shirt. We had rain all day yesterday and had a little cold front move through. And although it's not chilly, I'm just kind of cold natured. The temperature is going to drop this week. Got some nights in the 40s by the weekend. Or actually, we're going to have 2 or 3 nights in the 40s this week and the 50s almost every night. So I'm happy for the fresh, cooler weather. And it just got me to thinking, as the title of the video, the raw vegan lifestyle and cooked food. Just going to give a few of my current thoughts, and the winter is coming, so timing, changing of the seasons, good time to talk about this. I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that subscribe button now, click on the little bell, and send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. I've got a recipe video coming out in the next couple of days, so you definitely want to watch out for that one. I think it's a good one. I talk about this a good bit, so I'm going to kind of talk about it just from a as it is level today. I'm not trying to preach for or against cooked food. As you probably know if you've ever watched my channel, I don't get into those debates. I just try to help people where they are and offer options and suggestions. Kind of funny though, before I get started talking on this, I posted something in Instagram a week or so ago, within the last 2 weeks, and it was salad, and it had about 6 or 7 or 8 steamed Brussels sprouts in there, and some nice young lady. I'm not laughing at her, but she wrote me to say that some raw vegan dude was making fun of my raw vegan stuff, and going all next level and stuff about cooked food is poison, and he was just going on and on and on and on about steamed Brussels sprouts. Now, some people want to get their nose bent out of shape when people do stuff like that. I can't get worked up. I don't do any. I laugh. I find that funny. I find the people like that funny with that mentality. So I can't really work up a whole lot of seriousness to argue with them. But anyhow, what I thought I would talk about. I've been in the States now, as you guys probably know if you've watched me, for a little bit over 3 months. Now, I knew when I left Costa Rica, which was the land of tropical heaven, I'm just realizing I'm now starting to, get antsy and figure out, how can I get back down there for a couple of months or so. Still working on that. I'm not finding any suitable places right now to take a group back to because I had a couple of setbacks, but I'm working on that, and I've got a couple of feelers out. But as we're approaching winter here, and I knew I was going to be in the States for a longer period of time, I knew I would be eating more cooked food. Oddly enough, though, it was when I came back to the States in July, in the middle of the summer here, in just super, super brutal hot weather. I'm actually eating less cooked food now. I was eating, just to kind of fill in. I was eating more sweet potatoes back then. In fact, I was eating sweet potatoes probably on a regular enough basis of, I'd say, twice a week, sometimes 3 times in a week. And normally I would eat those just generally because of, I've been in the gym, I've been working out hard, I don't want to miss any calories. I was generally just eating those mostly as filler, although I do love sweet potatoes. I was eating them because I wasn't in my banana rhythm yet, didn't always have bananas around, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times I would just cook them in the evenings out of, I didn't get enough calories today. Or I just felt like something different. Maybe it was a transition time between Costa Rica and the States. I don't know. I always was eating those. I think I mentioned when I was coming back and eating that I've found that when I do eat cooked food, that it always seems to go down a little bit better if I do a couple of things. If I'm eating the starches like the potatoes, it goes better if I have greens with that. Whether a lot of times I would cook a big pot of collard greens and eat cooked collard greens with it. Sometimes I would steam some of these little packaged stir-fry vegetables I get. But I would always, or sometimes I just ate the sweet potatoes on top of or with a salad. And I found that having the greens in there, more water content, just made it work for my body a little bit better. Now, as time has passed on and as I've started settling in here, and like I say, all this stuff is like, I'm very, very, if you agree with me, disagree with me, but at least understand where I'm coming from and understand how I do this process and what you're looking at. I try to be as intuitive, as instinctual as possible. I try to really listen to my body, and things just happen as my body feels it or my body's telling me things. Now, whereas I was at first, I was enjoying those potatoes when I came back to the States. I noticed over, say, I don't know, the last month or 6 weeks, that the times that I have had starches, i.e. sweet potatoes, I don't really eat it much other in the form of starches, and it's no big philosophical, so don't try to get me into discussion. It's no philosophical against rice or pasta or whatever. Before I came to this lifestyle, I had cut way back. I just wasn't really into rice anymore. I really wasn't into pasta anymore. So when I eat starches, I tend to lean towards potatoes. And more so over the last, I'd say a year, 18 months or so, even when I have been coming back to the States, and I do eat potatoes, more and more they're sweet potatoes. I very rarely eat any other kind of potato other than sweet potato. But the last number of times that I've eaten the sweet potatoes, even with green leafy vegetables, they haven't done anything to me. I don't have something like, oh my God, it did this or it did that. They just kind of leave me flat. They leave me a little bit dry, wanting to just kind of drink water, just almost like, why can't I slake my thirst? There's a good word for you, slake. Not used very much. I read that somewhere this morning. I knew the word, but I just read it. That's neither here nor there, but yeah, I don't know. The last couple of times I've really kind of tried to pay attention, and when I've eaten the heavier, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, it's just more or less, it just left me flat. It's really hard to explain, other than it just kind of leaves me like, well, that really didn't do that much for me. Brings the energy down a little bit. I have noticed it bringing the digestion down a little bit. So what I've been mostly eating lately, and like I say, that's a good part of this video, is just kind of giving you an idea of what I've been eating when I do talk about eating cooked food, and a couple of ideas for the winter, depending on how raw you do want to stay for the winter. Recently, it's just been stuff like adding to my salad. And I would say I haven't had any of the starches. Any of the cooked food I've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks has just been, well, when I was on that little road trip, there was a wrap or two that wasn't 100% raw, but it's mostly been out of convenience. I'm on the road and there might be an ingredient or two. Or it's just been green vegetables. Yesterday I had, 2 days ago, I had a salad for dinner, a big salad, one of my huge salads that I always show. And I just simply chopped up and steamed some Italian zucchini. That was it. I seasoned them just a little bit with just a little bit. I sprayed just a little bit of Bragg's aminos on there and sprinkled a little chili powder on there. Boom. Very light, very easily digestible. Probably, of all cooked foods you could eat, the easiest that's going to pass through your body. The time before that, like I mentioned, the Brussels sprouts. So these days, when I do kind of feel, or for whatever reason or other, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of cooked food today. That's it. It's an addition to my salad. Will I stop eating sweet potatoes? No, I enjoy them from time to time, but they've kind of passed away. They've passed on out as kind of a regular type thing, but we'll see how that goes. This is just kind of to let you know currently how I'm eating, and this is also to lead into some ideas for winter. That's when it's all going to start. I'm surprised I'm not even seeing tons of it right now about the whole whining and crying and mauling about raw vegan in the winter, and it's so cold and it's so tough and this and that. Just figure it out. Don't get so emotional about this stuff. Just figure out a plan, move forward, and don't have so much angst and beat yourself up about it. That's worse. Sitting around and being stressed out and having a lot of anxiety over the food is probably just as bad or worse than some of the bad choices that people make. The winter is more about, like I say, a lot of times it's not more than, I'll go back to the psychological. It's just that psychological of having just a little bit of warmth. It is partially physical, but it doesn't take a lot of physical to satisfy the psychological. Let me explain that. For some hot food, warm food coming in to warm the body, to give that illusion, if you've eaten, cooked, and now you have all that warm, tingly feeling. It doesn't really have to be all that much. It doesn't have to be that drastic. I would say you could do, if you want to be minimal, if you're trying to get through the winter as raw as possible, I'm thinking like from that aspect. I'm not necessarily thinking like that. I don't have a problem still having a potato. But if you're trying to get through as absolutely raw as possible, things like the greens, collard greens, you can make just a nice little pot, almost like a little soup. If you season those collard greens, put a little garlic in there, put a little chili powder, put a few little natural things in there. And you can and if you simmer them and cook them slow, you can make yourself almost like a little soup out of that. And all you got is a green. It's not, it's not that heavy on the body, but it can be very filling. You might want to, for warming purposes and just the psychological of having a separate warm dish, maybe in the winter you do less what I'm talking about, like adding cooked food on top of your salad, because if you're adding, say, some steamed vegetables on top of your salad, that's going to kind of take away from that warming aspect of it, because you've got the cool food in there. So have separate. Have yourself your big salad, and maybe have some Brussels sprouts on the side. Maybe have some steamed cabbage on the side, some steamed broccoli on the side. Those are all cruciferous. Now, if you really want to keep it as light as possible and as easily digestible as possible, if you can get your hands on that zucchini, any type of squash, that is great. Probably pumpkin too. You could probably steam some pumpkin squash, different types of squash, but yeah, like it doesn't take a lot. If you're really truly, like I say, sometimes I suspect people use the whole, well, it's cold in the winter kind of as an excuse. They want to eat more cooked food. Don't make excuses. If you want to eat cooked food, eat cooked food. But if it's really just about the warming aspect of it, you need something to kind of warm you, that can be very simple. That could be, like I say, as simple as just just a cup of greens on the side, just one little warm thing, anything that you can think of. But also, don't be afraid or beat yourself up if you tend to have a sweet potato or something like that. But anyhow, there's ways of doing it. So you just have to kind of figure out, you just kind of have to set your course and decide you're going to do it, and make a plan for yourself, and do a little prep work to be able to do that. Keep the things around the house. If the winter makes you really want and crave and need warm cooked food, have these little things. Already start playing with this. Keep them around the house, and don't wait till the last minute. If you wait till the last minute, you might just be like, well, no, I'm just going to eat a potato anyway, or you're going to eat anything anyway. Play around with some of these little ideas I'm sharing with you when it comes to mixing the cooked with just a minimal amount of raw vegan, because I think it's like, I like to use that analogy a lot. Like if you have a pot that's boiling, it's about to boil over, all you got to do is just sometimes raise the lid just a little and let off just a little bit of steam, let off a little bit of pressure. A lot of times people are trapped in this psychological, they've got the psychological desire, want of that cooked food, and it doesn't necessarily take a lot to satisfy that desire. But when they're so gung-ho about raw is law, I can't eat a bite of cooked food is poison, blah, 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 they hold on so long, they don't let off that little bit of pressure and maybe eat a steamed green vegetable or a sweet potato, and they wait so long until that top just bam explodes off, and then they're eating some god-awful something, and then they have to come tell you and whine and have a come to Jesus moment about why they ate this bad cooked food, when they could have taken care of that situation earlier on with just a little bit of clean, healthy, easily digestible cooked food. So anyhow, just my 2 cents worth to start the week. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Maybe share these videos from time to time, and I will see you again tomorrow. Going to Pensacola tomorrow, so we'll see what I get into down there. Love you guys. Peace.